SwimOutlet.com delivers the best online shopping experience. With an extensive selection and the lowest prices, you're guaranteed to find the product you need. Here's what you get. Free shipping on all orders over $49. Free 1 to 2 day shipping on all orders over $99. All orders placed by 6 p.m. ship out the same day. Shop at SwimOutlet.com, the web's most popular swim shop.
This is Race Day, sponsored by SwimOutlet.com, the web's most popular swim shop. I'm your host, Jeff Commings. Day 2 of swimming competition is complete at the London Olympics, and what a day it was. 2 world records and a stunner of a men's 400 freestyle relay. We'll get to all of that in this show with Swimming World's John Lohn and Tiffany Elias, who join us right now from the London Aquatics Centre. Hi guys, I imagine you're still buzzing about all that fast swimming today.
It was a pretty great night, Jeff. Definitely backed up day 1.
Well, hey, Jeff. Hi, Tiffany and John. As I mentioned, there were 2 world records today. Let's start with that first one in the women's 100 fly final. Dana Vollmer, 55.98 to win her first gold medal, individual gold medal. Lu Ying of China, 56.87, and Alicia Coots, 56.94. You know, I said on yesterday's show I was kind of concerned about how Dana would do in this final. She hasn't always swum faster in the final than she did in the prelims and semis, but today she got it done in a big way.
It was a really impressive effort, Jeff. And the thing that stood out more than anything with Dana was the way she handled the race. She managed it much better than before. She took it out a little bit slower than normal, and therefore she was stronger at the finish. She didn't have a great finish. I think Tiffany's going to talk about that in a second. But what she had was more power to get there.
The race looked really easy, but that finish, she looked a little long, looked like she dove down just slightly, which can make all the difference when you're trying to break that 56 barrier. But she really swam her best race at the right time. And I'm glad she finally showed us all that she can be consistent across the board and step up and finally make that swim that we know she was capable of doing this whole time.
Yeah, I think after last year, everybody's just been wondering when she was going to break that world record. And, you know, no better place to do it than on the world's biggest stage.
Agreed.
So next event was the next final was the next world record, the men's 100 breast. Very emotional. Cameron Vanderburg, 58.46, went out like a rocket, and for the first time in probably his whole career was able to hold on for his first gold medal. Christian Springer of Australia, silver medal, 58.93, and Brendan Hansen, who I really wasn't picking to get top 3, got bronze, 59.49. Kosuke Kitajima, who was looking for a three-peat, the first man to do it, ended up 5th. Obviously, this was probably a pretty emotional swim for Vanderburg. He was friends with Alexander Dale Owen, who died in April, and I saw after his race he did a little salute skyward to kind of salute his friend. I'm sure he's still kind of really emotional about that swim.
I think you pegged that right on target. When Alexander passed away in late April, Vanderburg was one of the ones who spoke so highly of their friendship and how they developed camaraderie through the years, and you have to believe this was dedicated to him. I can't believe the speed that guy can carry through 100 breaststroke. It was unreal.
He just made it look so easy, and John can go on about Hansen as we were just in awe that he got up there on the medal stand. Yesterday when he realized he snuck into the final, he said, I'm going to be some outside smoke, so he definitely did it. I think a 3rd place finish for him was unbelievable.
And he's got to be happy for the first time in a long time he beat Kitajima.
Just the way his comeback has progressed, I mean, really, look, yeah, gold, silver would have been a little bit better, but this thing became a fairy tale for Brendan. He didn't expect any of this when this comeback started in January 2011. He said he wanted to qualify for a 3rd games. Being 8th coming out of the semifinals, the last race he expected was on the podium. He couldn't wipe the smile off his face as he came to the mix zone.
I can't imagine he's ever going to wipe that smile off his face, and now he's got about 5 days to get ready for that medley relay. I would imagine that it looks a little bit better now with his 59.4. You know, and we'll get to Matt Grievers later in the backstroke, but he's got to be riding high on that, and I'm sure the Americans are really going to be depending on him.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to put a relay together. I don't know if we mentioned this yesterday, but in his post-interview after semis, he did say he was the Jason Lezak of the breaststroke and the relays. So he had a solid individual, and I think we're going to see a pretty good one out of him tomorrow. Especially, I think that relay is going to want to make up for the 400 freestyle tonight, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
Quick note on Brendan. only the 13th man to be 30 years or older and win an individual swimming medal. Just goes to show how hard it is once you hit that number in years.
Oh yeah, it's definitely amazing to see that, you know, not just that he made this comeback successful, but just to be in your 30s, it really was quite an accomplishment. All right, the women's 400 freestyle final. I told you guys yesterday this was my anticipated race of the day because I really thought it was going to be a battle between France's Camille Muffat and America's Allison Schmidt, and they did not disappoint. 4:01:45 for Muffat for the gold in an Olympic record time. 4:01:07 for Schmidt, an American record time. Bronze went to Rebecca Adlington, John. You said she was going to be in the mix, and she did out in lane 8, 4:03:01. I was really kind of impressed with Allison, the way she held on to the pace that Camille Muffat put up.
And she actually was closing on Muffat for the finish. This posed really well for Allison's 200 free, which is her better event. That'll get rolling tomorrow. But Muffat, you have to give her credit. There was a lot of people who were skeptical of whether she was going to be able to maintain these consistent in-season performances she's been throwing out, because she hasn't been great on the international stage. She's kind of dropped off. She's always had these big efforts here and there, but never really put it together when it mattered the most. That happened tonight.
Yeah, and Camille looked like she made her move at the 250, which I think was perfect timing for her and her strategy, because she was able to get that slide edge on Schmidt, who did close on her slightly in the very end, but there was too much room to make up. So definitely that was her race, but it shows Schmidt has a little bit left in the tank for that 200.
What was it like in the arena there when the home crowd started to realize that Rebecca Adlington was going to win a medal?
This place, it's not just when Adlington was in the water. This place goes nuts when any British swimmer steps onto the blocks. It reminds me a lot of what Beijing was like in terms of being behind the Chinese swimmers. And that's the nature of what the Olympics are all about. The home nation gets behind its athlete.
Well, it was still, I really wasn't thinking Rebecca had what it took to get a bronze medal, so my hat's off to her. All right, let's get to that men's 400 freestyle relay. You know, for months, almost a year since the Australians won that world championship title, everyone has pretty much been saying it's theirs to lose, it's theirs to lose, there's no way they can lose it. And then almost it seemed like from the start, they were out of it. I mean, James Magnuson, 48:03. I mean, that's a second slower than he went at the Olympic trials. Puts them out of it completely. And then here comes France, get their sweet revenge from 2008, winning the gold medal, 3:09.9. The United States, 3:10.3. And then Russia, 3:11.4, leaving the Australias out for fourth. I mean, I don't think anybody expected it to play out this way.
Australia couldn't have bombed any more than it did. Like you said, Magnuson was a second off. Roberts' anchor split was, if you take the changeover, that's a second slower than what he was at the Aussie trials. Target and Sullivan in the middle were comparable to what they were at trials, but talk about coming up small when you really needed to. Meanwhile, France, the end of their relay, Clément Lefebvre, Yannick Agnel, just dynamite performances, make it look like it was just a reversal of what happened in the moment.
And Yannick Agnel in the end was the only swimmer under 47. He was a 6'7", and next to Lockheed's 47.7, which was still a solid swim. It was comparable to the other U.S. men. That was just a really solid leg for them on the finish. I must say that I was pretty impressed with Phelps' 47.1. That was a pretty solid leg there.
A really good sign for Michael, as Tiffany points out, that this reminded me a little bit of what happened in 2010 Pan Pacs. Michael had a terrible 400 IM, but then had a tremendous 100 freestyle leading off the 400 free relay. That happens again. So clearly he has speed right now.
Obviously he has speed, but he's got 200s, 200 fly and 200 IM before he gets back to that sprinting in the 100 fly later in the week. So yes, very impressive for Phelps. Also impressive for Nathan Adrian, first time under 48, 47.89. That's got to look good for him as he gets into the 100 free. Cullen Jones, 47.6, very respectable for him. I got to say, you know, Yannick Agnel pulled a Jason Lezak in this. I mean, 46.7. I mean, that's pretty comparable. If you put a rubber suit on him, he probably would have gone 46.0.
Everybody's talked about this kid being a big-time performer from usually actually the 200, 400 freestyle when he was tagged out. Now we see what this guy's capable of in 100 grade. he's established himself because of the way Magnuson performed as the favorite in that 100 free. Adrian's going to be right there in the medal mix too, it looks like.
Yeah, I think that door has been opened slightly for anybody that really wanted to challenge James Magnuson and James Roberts in that 100. Cesar Cielo didn't get to swim the relay. He was probably sitting there either in the stands or probably in his hotel room just thinking, you know, maybe I've got a shot. They didn't look so crisp. But something I noticed, and I don't know if you guys saw this, James Magnuson didn't shave his face. So I'm kind of wondering what was going on there. If he thought, oh, I don't need to be fully prepared for this. I'm not really sure what was playing into the whole mindset of the Australians there, but definitely it did not work out the way they probably planned.
Yeah, they'd only be viewed as a major, major disappointment, coming off the heels of such a great showing by the Australians' women's 400 free relay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we got 4 semifinals today. Let's get to that men's 200 free semis. Sun Yang still riding high after his 400 free yesterday, 145.61. Yannick Agnel, 145.84. Pretty impressive, about an hour before his 100 free split. Taewon Park, 146.0. Paul Biederman coming back from that 400 free, 146.1. And Lochte was 5th, 146.31. Unfortunately, Ricky Behrens was 9th, so he won't get that third swim. But this is shaping up to be the epic battle that everybody thought it was going to be between these 5 guys.
You know, it looked like Lochte did just what he needed to make it into the finals, but I think this is going to be a huge dogfight tomorrow. I honestly don't know if I can make a prediction for my 1, 2, 3. Those guys were so on point tonight, and especially after Yannick's relay right there, I think he's going to have a little momentum on his side going into tomorrow.
Jeff, the thing that comes down to tomorrow night in a lot of ways, Agnel and Lochte, if he's there at the last turn, is going to open up probably a half a body length if they're even going to that last wall, because nobody can stay with him off the last turn. But Sun Yang, if he's there, I don't know if anybody can outsplit him down the stretch. Yeah,
this is a guy who went 25.9 at the end of his 1500. So, you know, this guy will, if he's a half body length behind at the 150, it's pretty much game over. But I think everybody knows that. So I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how the strategies play out, because everybody's got a different strategy in that race, and we'll see which one succeeds. All right, so the next semi was the women's 100 breast, and a name I guess we're going to have to start getting used to, Ruta Meilutytė from Lithuania, who trains actually in Great Britain. 105.21, top qualifier, 15 years old, ahead of Rebecca Soni's 105.98, and the rest of the field, kind of the usual suspects, Yulia Efimova, Bria Larson, and Liesl Jones gets into her 4th Olympic final in the 100 breast. You know, she just might get a medal.
This would be, we'll get back to the front runners in a minute, but if Liesl Jones can just put together a solid race and get in the mix for that bronze, to medal at 4 consecutive Olympics, which is what that would accomplish, would be out of this world. That little 15-year-old is something else. And you're right, Jeff, we better get used to saying her name and seeing her. She takes that thing out quick. She brought it back strong tonight, too. Rebecca Soni's got her hands full tomorrow night, and probably isn't even the favorite anymore.
Well, I kind of think that Rebecca, knows what she needed to do. She kind of was playing with the field a little bit. She took it out probably a little slower than she usually does. I'm not sure how she's going to play it tomorrow. She knows what Meilutytė did this morning and this evening, and maybe she's going to try to go out with her and say, I'm really a 200 breaststroker, try to hang with me. But, this is another race where strategy is really going to play a part.
Meilutytė had probably the easiest swim I've seen so far this whole Olympic Games. It did not look like a 105. It was just so smooth, and she didn't even look fatigued there at the end. So I think it's pretty dangerous for tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll talk about dangerous. The men's 100 back semi, Matt Grievers looking just nice and smooth and going 52.6, which is faster than he went in the semis at the Olympic trials. So, I think that world record, 51.94, is in jeopardy by Aaron Pearsall. But he's going to be challenged. Camille LaCour, 53.0, Rysuke Irie and Nick Thoman. Liam Tancock also in that final. But I think all eyes are going to be on Grievers and how far ahead he can be of that world record line.
Coming into this, I thought this was a two-man battle, and I thought LaCour would be a lot faster and really push, because he's been 52 low in the past. But this does look like this is Grievers' race to drop. And there's no evidence that that's going to happen. Like you said, Jeff, he measured his races at trials well, and this is faster at this point. Could we? Yeah, that 51 high is there, and that's an unbelievable to think that can be done in textile.
It's just it just goes to see how unbelievable everybody's swimming at these Olympics. I mean, first of all, we've seen 3 world records, and everybody was thinking a lot of these world records would take, you know, a decade to fall. And, you know, here we are looking at a 51.9, which was one of those records that everybody said wasn't going to fall for a while, and it's going to be challenged. But it just shows a lot about how everybody has stepped up in the past 2 years since the tech suits were banned and said, you know, we're going to try and get these records, and we're going to do what it takes.
If the tech suits were good for anything, maybe it was raising the bar, but that's all. Because otherwise, they were a mess.
They're coming down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, last semi of the day was a women's 100 back. Emily Seebohm, a little bit off her time from this morning, but pretty consistent, 58.39. Missy Franklin, 59.1. Looked like she was just being nice and controlled, didn't want to show her hand too much, but you know, nobody really picked Emily Seebohm to be going this fast, and Missy Franklin's going to have her hands full in that final.
I don't think this race is as close as I thought it was going to be. I think this was one of the events looking forward to that I thought would be 8 ladies across the board, Missy Franklin out in front, but really close. And I think Seebohm has really shown that she's got it in her to challenge Franklin. I think you're right, Jeff, in that Franklin did just what she needed to get back into the finals. But this race isn't as competitive as I thought it was going to be.
The key, I think, tomorrow, Jeff, for Missy to be competitive and to give a run at this gold medal, she can't lose touch with Seebohm off the start. Emily's been taking this thing out so fast. If Franklin can hang with her and just not let her get to a ridiculous lead that can't be overtaken, we all know that Missy's going to be closing on her at the finish. She just has to give herself enough room to get that done.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, a race of amazing strategies, who can take it out fast and hold on, or who can hold back and have enough to finish. And I can't pick a race I'm most excited for tomorrow, because they're all going to be great just in terms of seeing which strategy wins the race. And, you know, you got the 200 free, the epic race of the meet, even without Michael Phelps, and both backstrokes and that women's 100 breast. And it's going to be another great day. I'm sure you guys are just excited as we all are around the world to see what shakes out.
So it's a long way to get here, but man, the 4 years is worth it when you actually get to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of letting this big exhale out and say it's finally here and we're ready to go. Like Ryan Lochte said, it's his time, and I think a lot of these swimmers who are stepping up so far in the past 2 days are saying it's their time as well. All right, guys. Well, that'll wrap it up for day 2 at the Olympic Games, London Aquatics Centre. Thanks for joining us. Get a good night's sleep. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, so that's John Lohn and Tiffany Elias joining us from the Stingray, as it's nicknamed, the London Aquatics Centre. I'm Jeff Commings, and be sure to join us at swimmingworld.com for all race recaps from prelims and finals. And we'll see you tomorrow for race day.